Which one that you like better? Ayam goreng Amerika or ayam geprek?
Geprek.
You played soap opera?
You know, I really enjoyed the soap opera experience.
What are the headlines for today?
Criminal case.
So
Thank
this
you.
is our newsroom.
Great.
Welcome to our newsroom.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So actually, this is for two TV stations.
Mm-hmm.
The one over here is Indonesia. So they are doing a show right now.
I see.
Quite busy, as you see.
I
And
see.
then the one over here is for SCTV.
Mm-hmm.
But this one in the middle is from the news gathering unit. So this is, we combine some of the unit here, like news gathering and news facilities are one for two
I
TV
see.
stations, but news production is separated.
So there's a lot of information here, huh?
Yes. So this is our newsroom, our producer and
Hi.
Good
this
morning.
is
Ambassador, welcome.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
this is Rico. He's the manager for daily news of SCTV.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Pleasure.
Come
Great.
to meet member of our newsroom first. Yeah. So, what are the headlines for today, Eja?
Yeah. Hi.
He's our
How are you?
presenter and
How
our
are you?
producer.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
What are the headlines for today?
Criminal case.
Awesome crime
Crime case.
cases, yeah. But Mr. Ambassador, which Indonesian issues that you're concerned nowadays?
Well, there's a lot. As you know, I mean, this is a very important relationship for the United States. So we cover many issues. Because we're focused on the G20. We strongly support Indonesia's presidency of the G20. Hope that it will be a very productive year for Indonesia as the G20 president. And in terms of bilateral relationship, we're excited that Indonesia is one of the initial partners for the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, which
Yeah.
I think will really help us strengthen our economic partnership. And on the military front, our two militaries are working together very closely. I'm very proud that the Super Garuda Shield exercise took place just recently. It was not only just US Indonesia, but it included 12 other countries from the region. So it's an exciting development for the relationship that our bilateral initiative actually expanded to include 12 other key countries in the region. So many developments in the relationship, and they're all important. And of course, climate cooperation is another area of
One of your
partnership.
concerns is about the education, right?
Yeah, education and cultural ties are an important part of our overall relationship. We hope to get more and more Indonesian students to study in the U.S., but also to have more U.S. students and academics come to Indonesia as well.
Oh,
Great.
okay, okay. Thank you, Eja. Let's meet now the news presenter.
Hi, how are
He's
you?
the presenter coordinator.
Yeah, I'm Jati. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. Great.
What is the most hardest challenge you are facing as a U.S. ambassador to Indonesia?
Yeah, you know, like everybody else, I think the past 2.5 years of the pandemic have been a very difficult time to navigate. For example, when I arrived here in October of 2020, it was at the height of the pandemic. So
Yeah,
very
you came
limited
here
in
during
terms of
the Yeah.
And normally, as ambassador, I would travel a lot, meet a lot of
Yeah.
people, attend a lot of functions. But of course, during the pandemic, all of those activities were limited. So that's been tough. But also, I think it gave us an opportunity to work together on how we recover from the pandemic. I'm very proud of the health cooperation that the United States and Indonesia have enjoyed, including U.S. provision of vaccines, millions of very effective vaccines for the Indonesian people. So lots of things going on.
Yeah. Where's Rico? Oh, I think he's inside. Oh yeah, there you are.
So I want to ask you something actually. You've been here like 2 years. So I don't know whether or not it's been questions or no. But how was it? Could you share us about the ups and downs?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm very excited to be the U.S. ambassador to Indonesia. This is a fascinating and important country, and it's a relationship that matters to both countries. In fact, it's a relationship that has broad implications and ramifications beyond our bilateral relationship. So I'm excited to be here.
One more question. It's
Sure.
a bit cheeky.
What?
You played soap opera at SCTV,
Yeah.
and now we are.
How do you know?
I watch it. And
good.
you did well, actually. as an
No, I
actor.
don't know.
You played soap opera, and now you are answered serious question. Which one do you prefer? I know this is part of your job, but from the bottom of your heart, which one do you like?
Well, you know, I really enjoyed the soap opera experience. It was completely different from what I do, because I normally talk about serious issues.
The first experience for you?
Yeah, first experience doing a soap opera. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. But I don't think I have a career in soap opera. I think I better just stick to being ambassador and doing serious news.
Okay.
Okay, let's continue to
Right.
our studio. Thank you, Rico.
Good to see you.
So far, what do you think of Indonesian media and journalism? Although maybe, is this your first visit to a newsroom in Jakarta?
Yes, actually, I did a couple other interviews, but they were done in my residence. So.
But apart from the challenges, what do you like the most about Indonesia so far?
That's an easy answer for me. I think the people of Indonesia are amazing. I've been able to make some great friends in Jakarta, but also meet some really terrific people outside of Jakarta.
So you have
for me,
traveled.
people stands out. But then, of course, the beautiful landscape in Indonesia is almost unparalleled. And food. I'm a big fan of Indonesian food.
Okay. So, Your Excellency, what has become the top priority of US Indonesia relationship?
So there are several very important issues for U.S.-Indonesia relationship. First of all, this is an exciting year of Indonesia's presidency of the G20.
True,
So
yeah.
the U.S. is a strong supporter of Indonesia's presidency, and we obviously expect and hope that Indonesia's presidency of the G20 will be very productive. I think President Jokowi and his team have identified all of the right priorities for the G20, including recovering from the pandemic, digital, how we can work together on digital, energy-related issues. So we look forward to continuing to work closely with Indonesia to advance those important priorities. But then there are also more immediate concerns, like the food insecurity that we are all facing, supply chain disruptions. Some of these are obviously related to the pandemic, but some of them have been the direct result of Russia's reckless invasion of Ukraine. So I think we all have a responsibility to try to deal with these challenges together.
So about the G20, how do you see Indonesian leadership in this matter?
Well, so we applaud Indonesia's strong leadership of the G20. This is a tough year to be presiding over a forum like the G20. But as I said, President Jokowi has identified and focused on the right priorities for, frankly, it's not just for the G20 countries, but well beyond. Things like how do we recover stronger together? How do we focus on cooperation in the digital sector? How do we deal with the climate challenge? So we applaud the focus on the right issues. We also want to commend Indonesia for navigating the delicate situation created by Russia's reckless invasion of Ukraine. While G20 is an economic forum, I think we can all agree that we have a responsibility to address the most urgent challenge that we all face together. And so I'm grateful that Indonesian hosts have made sure that the US and other countries have an opportunity to address some of those urgent challenges.
So as you mentioned, there are some delicate matter regarding the Russian and Ukraine. So we would like to know whether the United States will attend the G20 Leader Summit.
So I don't have any presidential travel announcement to share with you today. But I can assure you that the U.S. from the very beginning has strongly supported Indonesia's presidency of the G20. As you know, many of our key cabinet secretaries have visited Indonesia to attend G20 ministerial meetings. In July, Secretary of State Blinken was in Bali to attend the Foreign Ministers meeting. Then Treasury Secretary Yellen also visited Bali to attend the Finance Ministers meeting, and a whole host of other senior officials have been here. So my hope and expectation is that that type of participation and support will continue through the end of the G20 president, culminating in the summit in mid-November.
Yeah, hopefully. That's our hope too. Okay. As you mentioned before, I would like to know, what do you think of President Joko Widodo's diplomatic visit to Russia and to Ukraine?
So my understanding is that President Jokowi took the initiative because as the presider of the G20 process, he felt compelled to try to promote peace in that conflict. So we applaud, obviously, his initiative to do so. And I think it was also an opportunity for him to address some of the concerns of Indonesian citizens, including on supply chains and fertilizers and food insecurity, etc. I'm not sure if he was completely satisfied with the visit, but we certainly understood why he took the visit, and we applaud his efforts to promote peace and to address the concerns of Indonesian citizens.
Okay. So, in your opinion, what is the biggest challenges facing by countries post-pandemic? Is it the downturn, the economic downturn? Is it the food and energy crisis, or is it still the war and terrorism?
I think it's all of that. I mean, obviously, many countries are facing inflation issues. Unemployment is a huge problem in many countries. Food insecurity is a very urgent concern in many countries. Energy shortage and rising prices also an issue. And I think all of those problems point to a need for us to work together to manage the situation. I think also there's a more fundamental concern for all of us, which is authoritarian regimes' disregard of international norms, practices, and laws, and disregard for other countries' territorial sovereignty and integrity. That's a huge problem for all of us.
So, what kind of approach or policy measure that the United States have taken to mitigate such challenges?
So I think all of those problems that we talked about this morning require international cooperation. I mean, no country, not even the US, can resolve any of those issues alone. But we are trying to do our part to play a leading role when we can and when we can be effective. So one recent example is President Biden chaired the Food Security Summit at the United Nations just a couple of weeks ago. Indonesia was a prominent participant. Secretary Blinken and Foreign Minister Retno worked together very closely on this initiative. And the idea is to rally the countries together to address food insecurity issues. So we'll continue to take initiatives like that to help the international community deal with the most difficult challenges we face together.
You mentioned your concern about some dictatorship and things like that. Do you want to comment on Taiwan?
Well,
especially to some countries in Southeast Asia region?
I think we're all concerned about any country violating sovereignty and territorial integrity of another. We all have an interest in maintaining peace, stability, and prosperity in this dynamic region and beyond. Any aggressive unilateral action against Taiwan is obviously a concern for all of us. It would lead to a destabilizing situation that will affect all of us very badly.
So let's talk about election, because although Indonesian next election would be in another 2 years from now, but I think the political dynamic has already heating up. I mean, we can feel that already. So how is the US midterm election, which is coming really soon on this November? Is the tension building up already, or how is it?
Well, it is coming up very soon. So we diplomats are very cautious about commenting on our own country's domestic politics. But I think in general, it's always exciting to see democracy in action. Whether it's the presidential elections coming up in Indonesia or the midterm elections in the US. So as an American citizen, as an observer, I'm excited about what's going to happen in November. But beyond that, No comment.
Okay, great. So let's continue our visit. We should renovate our newsroom because this is like the setting of the pandemic. So it's kind of messy.
It's not bad.
So, Mr. Ambassador, this is our breakout room. This is where most of the news member like having lunch or just some snacks. And this is one of the corner where we can sit and chat. So we would like to know you better. We will ask you some easy, quick question. First of all, we would like to know what time you usually wake up in the morning, and what is the first thing that you do after you wake up?
So, as I get older, I tend to wake up earlier and earlier, even though I don't want to. So I usually probably wake up around 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
And I know it's not healthy, but the first thing I do is check my phone to go through the sort of official messages from Washington and other places.
Yeah, because it's I predict you will have so many messages from Washington because of the time difference, right?
Yep. So then I can't go back to sleep.
Yeah, of
I look
course.
at the messages.
And then after you check your phone, maybe you'll have some breakfast after that, or which one that you prefer? American breakfast or typical Indonesian like bubur ayam or nasi goreng?
I like both nasi goreng and ayam.
Bubur ayam.
Chicken porridge.
Chicken
right?
porridge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you
Really
like
good.
it. Oh, okay.
Very healthy too.
Very. Okay, and then still about food, yeah. Which one that you like better? Ayam goreng Amerika or ayam geprek?
Geprek.
Geprek.
Yeah.
Is
I think it has
very-
more flavor. Huh?
Very flavor, but very spicy.
I love spicy.
Oh, you love spicy food. Oh, okay. Wonder.
It's my Korean background.
Yeah, I see. I don't know. I thought that Indonesian like very good in tolerating spicy food, but I think Korea is number one. Eh?
I think Indonesia is pretty strong too.
Oh yeah, okay. We can compare that later on. And then place to hang out, Mr. Ambassador. Sunset Boulevard or Senopati?
That's a hard one. I would say Senopati.
Senopati?
It's been
Why
a
is
while
that?
since I hung out in Sunset Boulevard. It's a very exciting neighborhood. But I think Senopati is probably better for me at this stage in my life.
Okay. Your Excellency, what kind of leadership style that you use?
Yeah, I guess it's probably better to ask my staff what they think about my leadership style. But I hope it's an inclusive, open-minded, and flexible leadership style. I really do believe in delegating. I think it's important for each person to take responsibility for his or her area of coverage. So I want to try to encourage people to take responsibility, ownership, and be accountable for their work.
From their faces, I think most of them are agree with your agree. Okay. Some of them not like this. Okay.
I think they have to.
They have to. And then, who is the most influential figure for you?
Yeah, I mean, so many people have been wonderful examples for me and influence. But I think probably the closest is my father, because he was also a public servant.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the reason why I went into public service, starting from
Inspired
the
by your
prosecutor's
father.
office in Los Angeles, and now diplomacy, is probably inspired by my father.
So, what is the best advice that you have ever had?
It sounds very basic, but I think one of the best advices I've had from a number of senior people in the diplomatic service and other circles is that I think we have to be decent, we have to be respectful. It's good to be ambitious, but you also have to be considerate of other people's aspirations. So yeah, I think it's very basic and elementary, but
Yeah.
being decent is important.
Very nice advice. Very good one.
Is it?
Yeah, especially like nowadays condition. Yeah. Now maybe some more personal question, if you don't mind. What is your wallpaper of your phone right
okay.
now?
So
If you don't mind to
I have my
show
phone
it to
here,
us.
and it's my daughter's. It's my two daughters.
Oh,
And,
are
we
they
were
twin?
in Bali together.
Are they twin?
No, they're not.
No?
Twins.
Oh.
They're 4 years apart. But we were in Bali and Nusa Dua. That's where I
Oh,
took the
do
picture.
you want to share it to the
Sure.
camera?
You see?
Very sweet. You're in Bali, in Nusa Dua.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you have two daughters?
Two daughters.
Only?
I think so.
Mr. Ambassador, what is the most valuable thing for you? It has to be thing.
Thing I would say, so my father, who passed away many years ago, was an avid photographer, and he had an extensive camera collection. So when he passed away, I took his camera collection. And I think, they're obviously beautiful machines, but it has great sentimental value because he, treasured those cameras very much. So I hold on to them very closely.
Is it the manual one?
It's manual
Manual
one.
one?
It's classic ones.
Ah, very nice. Is he a photographer or is it just his hobby?
No, it was just hobby.
Ah,
Very
nice.
passionate about it.
Very nice, very nice. And then talking about value, what kind of value that you always hold firmly?
So there's sort of values as in what I consider important for myself personally and for my family. And then there are also values that are important for the United States as a country and also for our relations with Indonesia. In that sense, I'm obviously very proud that the US and Indonesia share so many important values. I mean, we believe in democracy. We are the second and third largest democracies globally. And I think that shared commitment to fundamental values provides a great basis for us to continue to build on. And that's building on our economic relations, military relations, educational culture ties in so many different ways. I think that foundation really helps. On a personal level, I'm committed to my family. I think my parents instilled that value very strongly in us from when I was very little. I think education is important. Hard work in anything is a given, and then you have to work hard. But I think being decent and considerate as you pursue your ambitions is important. So many values. And I also think maybe I'm getting more sentimental as I get older and older, but I really do believe in, I guess what we call this serenity prayer, right? I mean, you have to have the courage to change things you can, but you also have to have the serenity to accept things you cannot change. And then, of course, you need wisdom to know the difference between the two.
Very nice one. Well, maybe this is the last question. If you were not a diplomat, what would you like to become? Singer, maybe? Or
Well, I mean, it would be pretty nice if I were a member of the BTS. But I'm like many other Americans, a huge fan of sports. So if I could be a sports superstar, that would be amazing. My secret dream is I have great respect for people who write well. I have even greater respect for people who write well, write important stuff, and are still popular and sell a lot of books. So that would be my dream job, to be a respected writer who can also sell a lot of books.
respected and bestseller writer.
Yes, that's right.
That's great. Your Excellency, thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
time, and thank you so much for your visit to our newsroom.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Great
much.
to see you.
Great to see you.